The movie shows a female agent, Vivian DeLay, entering a CIA headquarters to meet the CIA director. In that meeting, Vivian got a mission to arrest Wolf, whom the CIA has been targeting for the past 10 years. The Wolf was an ex-German soldier who sold explosives to terrorists worldwide. He had a right-hand man, Albino, who was commissioned to sell bombs in Serbia. The director explained that he had sent a team to secure the bomb and arrest Albino. Vivian's job on this mission was to kill the Wolf, while the team that had been dispatched would deal with Albino. Before leaving, Vivian asked who the agent that had been sent was. The director answered the agent's name was Ethan Renner, a CIA veteran. Meanwhile, Ethan just completed his mission to take out a terrorist group in one of the hotel rooms. Other agents appear to be monitoring the hotel from CCTV. Another female agent, Yasmin, disguised as a hotel janitor, headed to a hotel room and saw many bodies. She found out that Ethan had completed his duties. She called Ethan, who was purchasing medicine at the pharmacy. Shortly after, Yasmin gave Ethan a briefcase with a scanner. Ethan went back to the stakeout and waited for Albino to come. His target was spotted, and suddenly the alarm on his cell phone went off, informing him that that day was his daughter's birthday. He kept his cell phone and began to complete his mission of performing a scanner on the bag Albino was carrying. Ethan walked up to him and deliberately crashed the suitcase he was having with Albino's suitcase. Ethan walked out and rushed to a car to hand over the briefcase for another CIA agent to examine immediately. Once there, Ethan asked permission to call his daughter on her birthday, and he got a 5-minute call. Since he didn't have any coins to call on the payphone, he traded his watch for coins at a store. At the same time, inside the hotel, Albino accidentally bumped into Yasmin, and he recognized her as an agent. The surveillance team in the car instructed all agents to move immediately because Yasmin's cover had been blown. However, it was stopped by one of the agents because the scanning process still needed to be completed. Once it came out and proved that Albino's suitcase was carrying a bomb, all the agents moved in to arrest Albino. Inside the hotel, Albino learned that he was a CIA target. He immediately contacted the Wolf, who asked him to cancel the transaction that he was about to make. Obtaining the order, Albino killed Yasmin so he and his group could escape. On the other hand, Ethan, who was on the phone with his daughter, was surprised to see the CIA agent stalking him. He immediately got out of his car. Shortly after, the CIA's and Albino's team engaged in a shootout in front of the hotel. Albino, carrying the suitcase, shot the hotel staff immediately to get out of the hotel. Ethan hung up the phone and quickly confronted Albino and his group. When Ethan was about to enter the hotel, Albino pressed a button that made the bomb in the hotel explode, and he was thrown. Once awake, he saw a lot of CIA agents injured and killed in that shootout. Ethan immediately got up and tried to block Albino, who would escape through the hotel lobby roof. He could take out the group, even though Albino got away. Vivian was monitoring Ethan from a distance. As Ethan pursued Albino, suddenly, he got a headache. Under the circumstances, Ethan managed to shoot Albino in the leg before he finally collapsed. Sometime later, Ethan woke up in the hospital. A doctor then came and told him that he had brain cancer which had spread to his lungs. He would only be able to hold out for another 3 months. Because of that, the CIA couldn't work with Ethan and asked Ethan to retire. As a thank for his dedication, the CIA agent who came to see Ethan gave him a watch before he left. The scene turns to Paris. Ethan was heading for his house. When he got home, he was shocked to learn that his house had been occupied by George and his family. All this time, they had been living in Ethan's house because it was empty. Ethan came to the police station to evict George's family from his house. However, the police were unable to help Ethan because the police had their own laws that protected displaced people in the winter. Finally, Ethan returned to his home and was forced to allow George and his family to live there. He threatened George with a gun, telling him he could stay there as long as he was willing to abide by Ethan's rules. At night, Ethan decided to stay at the hotel and now played videos of his daughter when she was a child. Ethan realized he had long left his family to carry out various CIA missions. The following morning, Ethan called his wife, Christine, asking her to meet him at a lawyer's office. There, Ethan told her he was sick, so he took care of some inheritance papers for his family. He also said that he wanted to meet Zoe, his daughter. Ethan and Christine then pick up Zoe at her school. Zoe acted cold because she was disappointed with Ethan, who always left his family. Shortly after, Zoe introduced Hugh, her boyfriend. Ethan then gave Zoe a bike, but she refused and reasoned that she would go home with her friend. Ethan, who tried to get closer to his daughter, invited Zoe to dinner. After meeting Zoe, Ethan toured the city of Paris on a bike he'd previously given her. When he arrived at the market, he met Vivian, who was trying to talk to him. Ethan didn't seem interested in the conversation, but he changed his mind after Vivian showed him his watch that he had exchanged for coins to call his daughter back in Serbia. Then Vivian asked Ethan to talk in the car. She revealed that she was working for the CIA director and was on a mission to arrest the Wolf, and she asked Ethan to work with her. Ethan refused it and reasoned that he had other plans in Paris. She then gave him a cure that could help him treat his illness. After getting the medication, Ethan changed his mind and accepted Vivian's mission to find and kill the wolf. That afternoon, Ethan and Vivian went on a mission by coming to a place. Vivian shot dead the guards who were there. Meanwhile, Ethan managed to paralyze the guards and take the leader hostage. He forced the man to speak. However, the man didn't know about Wolf's account that Vivian asked about. Vivian then shot the man dead. Unable to get the information, Ethan and Vivian left. In the elevator, Vivian helped inject the medicine she gave him. Ethan asked for all sorts of things as his paycheck to help Vivian capture the wolf. She quickly approved all his requests. Upon Ethan's arrival at Christine's house, he suddenly heard Zoe screaming. Ethan immediately headed to her room. Opening the room, Zoe apparently screamed after seeing her messy hair. Shortly after, Christine also reached home and scolded Ethan, who came home late. Ethan explained that he had met someone who could help treat his illness. Christine was less convinced of it because she assumed it was an experiment given to Ethan. By the time Ethan was going to sleep, he suddenly felt something strange with his body and began to hallucinate. Since he didn't get better, he called Vivian, who calmly advised him to drink vodka. The following morning, Christine was very busy because she was going to London for a few days. Ethan, who drove her, seemed happy because now he was back with his family. When Ethan was in the kitchen, Zoe came out of the room with a new look in her hair. She set Ethan's phone in a unique ringtone when she called him. After Ethan drove Zoe to school, Vivian told him that he only had 3 days to capture and kill the wolf. She gave him a check for $150,000 to get Ethan to finish the mission. Shortly after, Ethan and Vivian were back on their mission. Vivian asked Ethan to find a man named Midet to trace the wolf. Upon Ethan's arrival at Midet's office, the two of his guards mocked Ethan's shabby appearance. He shot them instantly. Midet returned to his office and saw Ethan sitting at his desk casually. Ethan then arrested him and took him to his house for questioning. Ethan suddenly got a call from Zoe's principal asking him to immediately come to school and discuss Zoe's behavior. Ethan, who had come to school, seemed relaxed facing his daughter's mischief. After seeing his daughter's principal, Ethan returned to Midet and took him to a quiet place to torture him. Ethan asked him about albino. However, Ethan's phone rang and Zoe called and apologized for her misbehavior at school. She also requested Ethan to accompany her to play. Ethan told her that he would come to see her in the afternoon. Ethan was back to his mission, and now he's been in a hotel to meet someone. When he was in a room guarded by a man, Zoe called him again because Ethan had not yet met her as he had promised. Ethan, who didn't want to upset his daughter, asked Zoe to wait for him, and he chose to abort his mission. Ethan accompanied Zoe to play and have fun in a playground. After playing, he took Zoe to a cafe and asked her to have dinner and a movie at home. Unfortunately, Zoe was forced to refuse his father's request because she had an appointment with her friend. Ethan seemed a little disappointed even though he also couldn't force his daughter to follow all the things he wanted. When Ethan was shopping in a supermarket in the afternoon, a man suddenly shot him. Luckily, he always wore a bulletproof vest to survive the shot. When the gunman approached, Ethan pretended to be dead and immediately attacked the man. They got into a fight. Ethan then shot the man to death after he was cornered before the man managed to stab him with a broken bottle. After searching the man's body, Ethan discovered that he was one of Albino's men. Arriving home, Ethan got a voicemail from Christine. Previously, he had asked her Zoe's friend's name that she would meet. Christine said that she had never known Zoe's friend. Ethan went to Zoe's room, looked for clues, and found a message from a tattoo parlor. Ethan immediately went to the place of the tattoo parlor, but he did not find his daughter. On the way out, he saw a parked car and a Zoe bag inside. He immediately picked up Zoe's bag and got her party invitation card from Midet's daughter. With the card, he went straight to Midet's house and asked where the party was. The two daughters of Midet told him that the party venue was at La Soiree's house. La Soiree's house was very crowded, with teenagers partying. As Ethan tried to find Zoe, he suddenly felt a headache, so he went to the restroom. There, Ethan saw Zoe, who was being bullied by some boys. He beat them up until the 3 boys fainted. He immediately took the drunken Zoe from the place. In the morning, Zoe woke up and saw his father all night guarding her. Ethan and Zoe argued about last night's problem, where he forced Zoe to drive home on her bike. Zoe was upset and said that she couldn't ride a bike because no one had taught her, and she left. Hearing that, Ethan decided to teach Zoe to ride a bike. Next, Ethan returned to kidnap Midet, who had just dropped her daughters off at school. He wanted Midet to show him something needed to complete his mission. Elsewhere, some of Wolf's men took a suitcase and went for a ride in a car. Ethan, who had been stalking them, started getting ready by putting a bomb on his leg. Using a bicycle, Ethan approached one of the group's cars and attached a bomb under the car. He fired gas into the car carrying the suitcase. When the bodyguards came out, Ethan secretly got into a smoke-filled car and took the car to escape. When another car with a bomb chased him, the bomb under the car exploded, and Ethan ran. After taking Guido, the man with the suitcase, as a hostage, Ethan brought him to his house and asked him for the code for the trigger on the bomb in the briefcase. After getting the code, Ethan went to George's son, Abbott, and asked him to release Guido in 2 hours. At night, Ethan, who had done his mission, went to Vivian at a bar and handed her the suitcase. Vivian then gave the cure for his illness in return. Sometime after, Ethan returned to Christine's house and saw Zoe asleep on the couch. After waking up, Zoe asked Ethan to accompany her to Hugh's party, her boyfriend. She also said that she couldn't dance, so Ethan immediately taught her to dance. Shortly after, Christine came home and seemed moved after seeing Ethan's closeness to Zoe. Finally, the three of them spent the night together. The following day, Ethan got a call from Vivian, who told him that Albino was at one of the hotels in Paris. He immediately went to the hotel and did a stakeout. When he was scouting the car that Albino was about to ride, the wolf was in the car. Apparently, Ethan once saw the wolf at the Serbian hotel on his last mission. After Midet, Wolf's driver left the hotel. Ethan followed him and accidentally hit Midet's car. The wolf asked Midet to speed up his car. The wolf's men shot Ethan's car. Ethan finally could corner the car and hit it until it fell on a bridge. The wolf and Albino run away after the car they were in crashes. Ethan tried to help Midet before he went after the wolf and Albino. Ethan chased after the wolf and Albino to a train station. When he was about to attack the wolf, he suddenly got a headache, and not long after, he passed out. Albino, who was there, explained to the wolf that he didn't have to worry about Ethan because Ethan was sick. Seeing Ethan unconscious, Albino dragged him near the tracks to get hit by the train. Fortunately, when a train was about to pass, Ethan woke up and immediately hit Albino and pushed him onto the tracks and died instantly. After that, Ethan tried to capture the wolf, but his condition worsened. Even when he contacted Vivian, Ethan could not finish his words and fell unconscious again. After waking up, Ethan was at Vivian's place. Vivian told Ethan that his lab results had come out, stating that his treatment had been successful. Shortly afterward, Ethan got a call from Christine that he needed to get home before it was too late to come to Zoe's party. As Ethan began to hesitate to continue his mission, Vivian again convinced him to kill the wolf. On the other hand, the wolf told his men about the change in his plan. He asked his men to take him to his associate's house. Meanwhile, Ethan returned to Christine's house in neat clothes. Christine and Zoe seemed amazed at Ethan's look that night. When they arrived at the party, Hugh introduced his parents to Zoe, Ethan, and Christine. Hugh's father also introduced his business partner, the wolf, and they shook hands there. During the party, Ethan and the wolf watched each other. Ethan, who knew that the wolf would harm his daughter, asked Zoe to go with Hugh. Christine discovered that he was on a mission after seeing Ethan's movements. She said that she was disappointed that Ethan had promised to quit his job. In that situation, Ethan said that he would explain everything later. An upset Christine went out of the room and headed for a balcony. On the other hand, the wolf asked his men to kill Ethan immediately. When Ethan accompanied Christine on the balcony, Wolf's men attacked him. Ethan finished them off by throwing them off the balcony. Shortly after, they shot Ethan while the wolf attempted to escape by the elevator. Ethan, who saw that, immediately shot the elevator until it stopped. Approaching the broken elevator, Ethan shot the elevator rope, which caused the wolf to fall along with the elevator. Ethan headed to the ground floor and shot down all Wolf's men who got in his way. Downstairs, the wolf who had fallen from the elevator seemed seriously injured. Ethan was about to kill him, but he suddenly felt a headache and fainted. After Ethan woke up, he saw Vivian had been there. She immediately asked Ethan to kill the wolf. When Ethan was about to shoot the wolf, he remembered his past. He turned down the request and said his wife forbade him from doing it again. Finally, the annoyed Vivian shot the wolf to death. The movie's end shows Zoe playing by the beach while Ethan decorates a Christmas tree. Shortly after, Christine came to bring some presents for Ethan. Seeing the gifts, Ethan then opened the gift with a red wrapper. Inside the parcel was a cure for him sent by Vivian. The moral of this movie is that it is never too late to make up for past mistakes.